Hey, Barrett Vickery here. I want to share a tip with you about how you can improve your mornings in just 10 seconds a day. I know that sounds like a far out promise, but I promise you that this works. Okay, so behind me I have a graph of emotion and time. Now this graph represents when you first wake up in the morning. The key here with this tip is to manage your thoughts right when you wake up in the morning, because as we'll see, your thoughts create emotions, and emotions have momentum throughout the day. Now, I'm gonna explain this from the point of view of modern psychology and emotional intelligence, and then I'm also going to explain it from the point of view of ancient spirituality, manifesting, the law of attraction, that type of stuff, okay? So to start out, from an emotional intelligence point of view in modern psychology, we know that sleep helps you to manage your emotions. One of the really cool features that sleep gives us is that it helps you to reduce the emotional momentum from the previous day. So when you go to sleep, all of the stress and the negativity and stuff might kind of turn into dreams, but by and large, it doesn't immediately transfer into the next day unless you trigger it, okay? So we know this from sleep studies now, that your emotional state is sleep essentially gives you a reset button, gives you an opportunity to change your emotional state going into the next day. And this also ties into the manifesting and the spiritual point of view, which is that you have an opportunity to be born anew, essentially, right? You have the opportunity to make a new choice about how you want to show up in the world. So, from emotional management point of view, I have joy and gratitude up here on the top, and then on the bottom of this graph I have depression and anxiety. So on this y-axis is positive emotions and negative emotions, and then this is over time. So think about this as your morning right here. And then we're gonna look thought by thought what happens when you manage your mind in the morning, and then when you don't manage your mind, okay? So the other day I was reading the news, and then I went to sleep and I experienced some negative emotion when I woke up. So I started to think about the news that I read the day before, and I started to string some thoughts together that didn't feel very good, right? So I basically woke up, and the first thought that I had was something about the government and how, just things aren't great politically, because I was reading news the day before. So I started off the day with like a negative emotional thought, like, ugh, things are never gonna get better, right? Like that's the thought, ugh. Nothing's gonna change. I had a negative thought, and then another thought like it was attracted, and I created another negative thought. And it was, I don't know, something about how the world's not gonna get better, and maybe it's even getting worse, right? And then also, oh, we're destroying the planet, and everything is falling apart, right? So you can see now how I'm starting to create a negative emotional trajectory. So I noticed that this was happening, but then I wanted to turn it around, okay? The problem is that I had already started this negative Nancy trajectory, and so for me to turn it back around, it took a fair amount of conscious effort and work picking new thoughts to try and turn it around. So I had to kind of create different thoughts like, well, maybe things aren't so bad. Maybe they will get better, you don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter who is in power or what the political landscape is. Maybe you just focus on yourself and things will get better. And so, but I had to dig myself out of that hole, right? I had to consciously dig myself out of that hole to get back into positive emotions. Now, the key here to understanding this is that this happens really fast. Momentum starts to build really fast. These first couple thoughts could be the first 20 seconds of you waking up in the morning, okay? So this is the entire key, is becoming super aware of the thoughts that you're thinking right when you wake up, because that is what starts to dictate which direction your emotional momentum is going. So if I were to continue with this negative emotion throughout the day, I may kind of end up here, right? Somewhere where I'm just like not feeling very great. I'm not in complete depression and anxiety, but maybe I'm just not feeling very good. Now the problem with this is that my bad habits live in this emotional zone. So eating bad food, getting into social media, indulging distractions, I would start doing those things because I don't want to feel bad anymore. So I'm trying to change my emotional state through indulging in outside things that aren't healthy and aren't good habits, okay? The consequences for having negative emotion when you start the day are pretty big, because once you start to get to the rest of the day, you're gonna hit challenges. You're gonna hit times when you need to focus. And if you don't have the emotional state to be able to nurture that focus and create something out of it, then it's very, very hard to be productive. It's very hard to be happy, all of that other stuff. Okay, so let's go to the positive here. Now, if I was to start the day with this awareness that the first thoughts that I have in the morning change the way that my life works, then I could wake up and have the thought that, wow, today is gonna be a good day. That's it. Just have the thought, today is gonna be a good day. I'm making that decision. And then maybe practice a little bit of gratitude or something. You know what? I'm glad I'm warm in my bed. It's very nice and cozy. And then just allow it to naturally flow. I'm glad that I have a house. I'm glad that I have a house that supports me. Speaking of support, I'm glad that I have friends and family that love me. Isn't that an amazing thing? You just have access to that just is a thing that exists. You have family and friends that love you. I'm glad that I get to do what I want for my business. I'm glad that I have the opportunity to express who I am. You see now? You start to build this emotional momentum, and eventually, and pretty quickly, you are able to reach these places of joy and gratitude, these higher level emotions, partially because you're at an emotional state of neutral. You don't have the emotions from yesterday, so you have an opportunity to rebuild your emotional state to start the day. Now, the great part about this is that your emotions have momentum. So if you build this good momentum and you're able to be up here, then you could potentially go throughout the entire day in a state of joy and gratitude. Now, the hard part is that challenges happen, right? Hard stuff happens in life. And so when challenges come and hit you, it could drop you down. You could start to dip down towards emotional neutral or below. But the good thing about having these higher level emotions is that it makes you more resilient. So the studies coming out of the emotional intelligence world and positive psychology show us that people with higher emotional intelligence, aka higher emotional control, have more resilience. That means when something bad happens and life punches them in the face, they're able to deal with it and they don't take as big of an emotional hit as if they lived in these more panicky negative emotions, okay? So not only will you feel a lot better, not only will you become more resilient, also up here is where everything that you want is. Everything that you want in your life is up in these higher emotional states. All of the good timing when you tell a joke, right? The good social interactions. When you interact with somebody, if you are in a state of joy and gratitude, they can feel that, right? Being in a state of joy and gratitude and needing nothing, if you're selling something, that's the place you want to be. Running a business in this state, that's where you want to be. Everything you want exists in these higher emotional states. So from just a very practical perspective, even if you don't believe in manifesting and in the law of attraction and all this stuff, from a very practical perspective, life is just better up here, okay? So you just want to live there. It just feels way better. From a manifesting perspective, all of the abundance and the things that you're trying to create, the things that you're trying to manifest into your life, all of that stuff is also up here. So if you're trying to manifest a new relationship or money or a new business or whatever it is, you have to be able to get yourself into these higher emotional states and then stay there throughout the day. Training yourself to be in these higher emotional states is what brings that abundance. That's what brings the energy and the focus and the excitement that is required to really make an impact and to create the life that you want, okay? So there's so much benefit to being able to live in these emotional states. And the entire point with this one tip is that it can be trained, and the best time to do that is right when you wake up. Because right when you wake up is when your emotional momentum is non-existent and you can make a new choice. You have the ability to be born anew every day, right when you wake up in the morning, and it happens so fast. It's literally between 15 to 30 seconds of you waking up, you start to define your emotional momentum for the entire day. Now, that's the game, right? The game is learning how to train yourself to be in these higher states of emotion. And if you can do that, then you have achieved happiness. You achieve happiness, you achieve more energy, you achieve better relationships with other people, you achieve better ability to see opportunities in the world and to take action on them, you have less fear up here too. So if you're dealing with fear in your business and you're scared to take that next step, it's because your emotional state, you're thinking of whatever that deal is from a negative emotional state. If you're in a place of joy and gratitude, fear does not exist. So these negative emotional states, they don't exist here. So these bad habits, and that's another thing, is good habits exist up here, bad habits don't exist down here. Or bad habits exist down here. So if you're having trouble with your habits, one of the things to do is to start to train yourself and develop the habit of emotional well-being. Because when you do that, emotional eating, negative thought processes about yourself, all of those things start to come up once you start to feel stressed, right? Once you start to feel stressed and depressed and feel anxious, that's when you start to indulge in bad habits. Not when you're up here, not when you feel amazing. You don't indulge in bad habits when you feel amazing. Or if you do, then you start to drop down and you feel the ramifications of that. Okay, I hope that makes sense, and I hope that is super interesting to you. This is the stuff that I get most excited about. I think it is just so cool. You have the ability and the opportunity right when you wake up in the morning to change your emotional state, and then that emotional state can create momentum, which can have massive impact on your life. If you think that this information is cool, then I highly encourage you to join my weekly class. Monday through Friday, I teach a morning routine class in which we do yoga, meditation, breath work, journaling, all of the different skills that many of the world's high performers use on a daily basis. I try to put it into a condensed class that you can press play on and then join me and a group of others live as I walk you through these processes to help you feel emotionally better throughout the day. The entire goal of my class is to help you inhabit these higher states of joy and gratitude and peace and love. Because when you are there, when you exist in that space, you're happier, you get more things that you want. Life just overall becomes easier for you, okay? I also have a nighttime class too. So I have a night routine and a morning routine class, all live, that you can join and have the accountability of a group of other people that are also interested and implementing these types of ideas on a daily basis. So if those things are interesting to you, please reach out, please sign up for my class, and I hope to see you out in the world, see you making a difference, see you making yourself happy and making others happy. The way that you do that, control those emotions in the morning. Control that mind in the morning so that you can make your difference. Okay, everybody, have a wonderful day. Goodbye.